With all the talk about economic relief and stimulus payments, there's no wonder why you would be confused. So, let's get stimulated. In this video, we will find out what is a stimulus payment, who is eligible for these payments, and finally, how does the money impact me? And by me, I mean you as a taxpayer. First off, what is a stimulus payment? A stimulus payment is also known as an economic impact payment. These payments are typically the result of a major economic downturn that results in a market crash and/or high levels of unemployment. Think back to 2008 when the housing market crashed and there was a level of almost 10% unemployment throughout the country. Perfect example of something that would trigger the need for a stimulus payment. Next up, who is eligible for these payments? For this particular stimulus package, these were the requirements. You have to be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or qualifying resident alien. You cannot be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. For example, if you are a 13-year-old child on your mother's tax return, you wouldn't be eligible for the stimulus payment. Conversely, if you were an elderly relative or parent on a child's tax return, an adult child, you also would not be eligible for the payment. You have to have a valid social security number that's able to be used for employment. And finally, you have to have an adjusted gross income below an amount based on your filing status and the number of your qualifying children. For this particular payment, as an individual, so filing single on your taxes, you would have to have no more than $75,000 to get the full amount, and between 75,000 and 99,000 to get a partial amount. After 99,000, it would be phased out completely. Next up, how does the money impact me personally? Anytime there is stimulus payments, either in the clouds or actually signed into law, everybody wonders, or a good amount of people wonder, how is this money going to impact me down the line in terms of taxes and in terms of assistance? So, according to the IRS.gov website, the payment is not includable in your gross income. Therefore, you will not include the payment in your taxable income on your federal income tax return. Or pay income tax on your payment. It will not reduce your refund or increase the amount you owe when you file your 2020 federal income tax return. A payment also will not affect your income for purposes of determining eligibility for federal government assistance or benefit programs. Now, over the last few weeks, there have been multiple stimulus bills and proposals that we are constantly hearing about somewhere in the news, in print, on social media. For this video, there are 4 bills that we are going to focus on. These bills are the CARES Act, the ABC Act proposal, which stands for Automatic Boost to Communities Act, the Emergency Money for the People Act, and the COVID-19 Heroes Fund. Now, the first stimulus bill that we'll focus on is the CARES Act. The CARES Act stands for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. It was passed into law on March 27, 2020. The act provides $1,200 and $2,400 to individuals and couples and a $500 additional child tax credit. In this act, $500 billion is going for emergency lending to airlines, state and local governments, things of that nature. $350 billion are going to small businesses in the form of small business loans. This would help with payroll, keeping employees on salary. $150 billion goes to healthcare providers, and $20 billion in this fund goes to the 2020 election assistance. This would entail helping with early voting, registration, and mail-in ballots. The grand total for this act is $2.2 trillion. Now, focusing on another stimulus bill is the ABC Act proposal, which stands for the Automatic Boost to Communities Act. In this proposal, there is an initial payment of $2,000 with $1,000 per month for the next 12 months. This would go to every American to ensure that no one is left behind. Remember, in the CARES Act, dependents that were over the age of 16 were not eligible either for the extra $500 or the initial $1,200. The way this money would be dispersed would be loaded onto debit cards to combat unbanked individuals. Remember, this bill has not been passed into law as of today, which is April 30th, 2020. The total cost of this act would be $2 trillion that would be funded with two $1 trillion coins to be minted. Now, another one of the stimulus bills that we're hearing about is called the Emergency Money for the People Act. This was an act that was brought up shortly after the CARES Act was signed into law, and it was more of what would help after the initial $1,200. In this act, there would be $2,000 per month for up to 12 months, or after 6 months if pre-pandemic employment levels would be reached. In this act, this would cover individuals 16 and up, including those who are claimed as dependents. This act, a little bit different because it allows for multiple forms of payment, including checks and direct deposits, which are how the IRS normally disperses money, This act goes one step further by including electronic methods of payment such as Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo. Again, this bill has not been passed into law as of today, which is April 30th, 2020. A third act that we hear about is called the COVID-19 Heroes Fund. Now, this was introduced by Michigan Senator Gary Peters. In this fund, it would cover all hours worked by the essential workers through the end of this year, December 31st, 2020. It would also include a $25,000 pay increase for essential frontline workers, as well as a $15,000 sign-on incentive to attract new employees for these essential frontline workers. Again, this is a proposal that has not passed into a bill as of today, April 30th, 2020. I hope this helped understand a little bit more about what's going on in all of the craziness. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time.